All right. Even though you're wreaking havoc, we are now live. Thanks for being here, everybody. And yeah, we're gonna get into the FBI raid, which is a travesty on this country. And also, who gives a shit? But I'll get into that in a second.
Also, are we clear on whether he buried his ex-wife on his golf course?
We'll get into that too in a second.
And did you get a tax break for that?
We'll get into that too in a second. Thanks for joining us. And on Saturdays, Eleanor joins me. Eleanor Goldfield here, everybody.
Hello.
And I do these live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at noon Eastern. Fridays for members only at leecamp.net. But please at least subscribe at rumble.com/leecamp. That's where all of these live and stay permanently. So rumble.com/leecamp. All right. So let's get into the FBI raid. By now, you all know about it, I assume. They raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago fucking Playboy shithouse or whatever it is. Oh, let me change that dumb background. So this is from CNN. So, and you get the two different views from the two different sides of the mainstream media. Fox News is like, this is everything that's wrong with the Biden administration. And then CNN's like, we have finally revealed everything that's wrong with the Trump administration. So, and again, that is the key to keeping everybody in line, is to act like there's very angry debate on the two sides of this thing while they're both on the same side.
Chomsky has a good quote about this.
Yeah, about it seeming like a choice, but it's actually you don't.
Lively debate right in between. Neither one of us is going to get this fully right. A lively debate between.
Well, I wasn't even quoting him, so
lively debate between within the confines of what's acceptable,
right?
And basically what's really going on is outside of those confines. But it seems like there's so much debate going on, but it's really just, like, what color do you want the car that drives off the cliff of humanity?
Exactly. And so here's CNN saying FBI took 11 sets of classified material from Trump's Mar-a-Lago home while investigating possible Espionage Act violations. Now, and I'm not saying no one's saying this, there are some saying this, but here's the side of this that is you're not getting from the mainstream media, and you're really not getting from even some plenty of people on the left, which is, yes, the FBI is being weaponized because the FBI works for the ruling class, so the FBI has always been weaponized.
It's a weapon.
The FBI is a weapon used against the people normally. Now, what we're seeing that's new is that it's being used against a fellow member of the ruling class. But the other side of it, B, if I started with A and not one, can't remember, but B is, Trump is a fucking douchebag. And do you think maybe he brought classified? Of course he possibly did.
I'm sure he still has some in his pant pocket.
In his pant pocket, in his jacket. A, he's dumb enough to do it. And B, he thinks he owns the world. So the idea that something could be classified outside of his reach and he's supposed to leave it at the White House doesn't enter his brain. Everything is for him. He owns the world, blah, blah, blah. So let me say this last thing and then take it away. So this is a rift, a fight of the ruling class. If you want to have the actual battle we should be having in this country, it needs to be the bottom 90%, 95% against that 5% that Trump and Biden and Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and Ted Cruz, they're all in that rich ruling class. And this is a fight between those two sides of it that want to stop Trump from running for the next election. And that's what this is. So the people on the left commenting on this should not act like this is just the FBI is a terror organization and Trump needs to be free, like he's William Wallace or some shit. Anyway.
Yes, you can. There's this continuing problem in this country. It's the inability to hold two things at once. Like, I hate the Democrats and I hate the Republicans. We can do both.
We have time for both.
Yes, I can know that the FBI is a terrorist organization, and I can know that Trump is a piece of shit and deserves far worse than the FBI could ever give him under the confines of the system. I also can't help but feel that The Espionage Act here is it's getting us lubed up to really, throw the rotten tomatoes of American exceptionalism at Julian Assange. And because the Espionage Act has been kind of on the down low because, Obama used it a shit ton, and it then kind of like sat on the bench for a little bit, and Julian Assange is in the crosshairs of the Espionage Act, which is hilarious because I don't know how you can be a traitor to the country that you're not a member of or not a citizen of, but that's, the whole Assange case is a whole different bucket of fucked upness. But I can't help but feel that the only reason that corporate media would be happy to bring up the Espionage Act when there's really nothing nice to say about going after whistleblowers and truth tellers, the only reason that they would be doing that is to then say, so they can hearken back and be like, hey, remember that shit that we were using against Trump? We are using the same shit against Julian Assange because he is the same type of beast. He is the same type of horrible person. And so we have to use this against Assange just like we did against Trump. I can't help but feel, you know what? Come loop back with me on this when as the Assange case continues to dive itself into the depths of human depravity. I feel like this is going to come back and they're going to pick this thread up again because there's no reason to bring up the Espionage Act otherwise, in my opinion.
So, yeah, I hadn't thought about the ramifications for Assange as they continue to persecute him, the most accurate journalist to ever live. But something else that people should understand in this, like, war of the ruling class, like Trump, it amazes me that there's plenty of people out there who share my or our criticisms for the FBI, the CIA, the government, this current government, the way that the people across this country are exploited. They share all those criticisms, and then they go, and Trump's fighting for us, and he's our guy. It's like, did you not see those 4 years? He did fucking nothing for you. All right. The only thing he actually passed through Congress was the largest tax break like ever for corporations and the richest Americans. This guy is a stain of shit. And yet you can say that and also believe the FBI agents, the FBI in general, is a weapon being used by the ruling class. They're using it against Trump right now. And these, like, they're trying to find some way to make sure he doesn't run because he would destroy Joe Biden. I think that's kind of unquestionable. And so a bunch of the ruling class, and this includes a lot of Republicans, are finding some reason to make it impossible for Trump to run. And this is the latest one. They tried to impeach him on his phone calls with Ukraine, where he's trying to set up a quid pro quo with Ukraine. They tried to impeach him on the January 6th stuff, and it's seeming like that's going to fall through. They tried to impeach him for Russiagate, and that was complete garbage and fucking had nothing behind it. So they continue to try and find some way to stop him from running, and this is the latest thing. And if he really did steal, classified information, then they may succeed at using that to stop him from running. But you shouldn't confuse this with Trump's our man. He's our guy and he's going to help us. Fucking no. You should be concerned with a class war. You should hate all of these people. And yes, other presidents have done a lot of this shit. Other presidents have the quid pro quo they tried to impeach him for with Ukraine. Plenty of other presidents have done that. That's how the U.S. does business. You give us this, we give you that. We give you weapons, you give us this. That's fucking how they do business. So Trump was doing the same thing as other presidents, but they tried to impeach him for it. Or I guess they did impeach him because technically impeaching is bringing charges, not succeeding. So.
Yeah, and of course there's so much they could have impeached him for, but didn't. And I think this whole conversation about, he's not done anything for people. I just want to highlight this because this is oftentimes something that is used against people who vote for Republicans, oh, you're always voting against your own interest. Why do you keep doing that? And it's like, people who vote for Democrats are doing the same exact thing. Like,
Right.
there is no moral high ground, or I don't know, voter high ground, if you vote for Democrats and look down on people who vote for Republicans because you're voting against your own interests. You're doing the same thing. Like, the people who voted for Biden is a different flavor of racist, misogynistic war criminal, like that has a longer track record than Trump. So really, Biden has hurt and oppressed more people because of his long political career than Trump has. Let's be honest. So it's like, what flavor of horrific human being do you want? Either way you slice it, you're voting against your own best interests if you vote for Republican or Democrat. So I just want to throw that in there because I feel like that gets thrown at people who vote Republican, but like never thrown at people who vote Democrat. And it's like, but it's just equally as true.
Right.
So anyway.
I thought, this is a comment from Red Horizon. I thought they put it well. The aristocratic side of the ruling class hates Trump because he puts an accurate face on the ugly fascist empire. And, you know, we were saying this during his presidency as well, that what the other half of the ruling class, or really it's probably like 80% of the ruling class, the reason they hate Trump is because he revealed the U.S. empire in many ways, accidentally. He revealed us as being outwardly fascist, outwardly racist, supporting white supremacy outwardly rather than systemically. There were just so many times talking about how we got the oil in Syria, talking about how we should have stolen the oil in Iraq. These are things the U.S. does generally, but they don't say. The U.S. empire is not supposed to say these things. And so that's why the ruling class really hates Trump, not because they don't like that he's racist or they don't like that he, wanted to steal oil in Syria.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah. If they cared about that, right. So is there anything we haven't said? You were going to talk about, I guess I got to kind of covered it. How the things that there's so many things they could have impeached him for. Yeah, I didn't quite cover all of it. The emoluments clause.
Well, right. I mean, so if you've ever been to DC, then you'll know that the White House is literally right around the corner from what used to be the old post office, which is now Trump Hotel, which there's a lot of issues with with that. But so the emoluments clause states that you can't make money off of the presidency, right? Like, it can't be an ad campaign for your various capitalist dealings that you're president. So right around the corner from the White House was a giant fucking emoluments clause violation because
in other countries,
Trump would make sure that diplomats and people visiting would go to Trump Hotel, right?
And buy the priciest room.
Yeah. Get the expensive package where, you get to like, bet on immigrant kids in cages or some shit like that. So
bet on them?
Yeah.
Wait, are they racing?
I don't know. I had a better.
I mean, I like the idea.
I was thinking of a dog fight, but that's not dark enough, I felt.
And you didn't want to say cockfight.
I actually didn't even think of cockfight, but that would seem too, I don't know, too on the nose. 2 on the cock.
2 on the cock, 1 in the bush.
I feel like that my attempt at a metaphor there derailed, or not. It's not even a metaphor. My attempt at a joke.
They always say it's better to have one bird on the cock,
one bird
rather
on the cock,
than 2 in the bush.
Rather than 2 in the bush. Yes, it's better to have a metaphor in the bush and a joke just not anywhere. Okay, so this is why he does the comedy and I don't. So anyway, so he would very overtly make money off of his presidency. And this is something that they could have taken up multiple times because the hotel is just one example, right? He used the presidency to make money in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different, endeavors. And so, but they're not touching that because it's a little too uncomfortable. Because what they all do is make money off of their positions, whether that be as president, because, for instance, Obama got paid big bucks.
Hold on. Obama waited, I believe it was 1 month after his presidency to give a $400,000 speech to Wall Street, to Goldman Sachs or whatever, someone on Wall Street. So he waited 1 month. So that doesn't count.
No, sorry. So basically, they don't want to touch that. It's kind of like how the Democrats won't really talk about how Republicans steal votes via gerrymandering and interstate cross-check and all this other shit, because the Democrats are stealing votes in their own special ways, like black box voting and shit like that. So they're like, well, we're not gonna shit on your way of working, and don't shit on our way of working. So they have to look for something that they don't also do, which is really hard because they're so corrupt and fucked up that it is really hard to find something to impeach someone for that you're not also doing. So, that also it's technically illegal to be a war criminal. Could impeach someone for that, I guess, but
right. Or how about going to war without the approval of Congress? Supposedly Congress is supposed to approve of our wars, and we haven't done that since Vietnam. But you could probably impeach a president for going to war without consent from Congress. But yeah, they're looking for the thing that they can get him on that every president doesn't do, or every congressperson doesn't do. And so they tried making up the Russiagate thing. Then they tried the quid pro quo with Ukraine, which basically they started looking for things that Trump was so dumb that he did them outright on like recorded phone calls. So while every president may have done the quid pro quo, Trump was on the phone saying, basically, we'll give you the missiles if you look into the servers. He wanted them to look into some because he was into some theory that the Democrats something servers or whatever. So they tried to get him for that, and then now they're trying to get him for stealing classified documents because he's dumb enough to just run out of the White House with like shit under his arm.
I'm just going to McDonald's. Just gonna do some light reading.
Sir, are those the nuclear codes? I got a thing. I got a golf.
I don't like using this shit, or I'm gonna use a different one.
I got a golf time.
And then also with the whole Ukraine quid pro quo thing, didn't they just throw it back at Biden because he literally threatened to pull out of what was $6 million deal?
You are so kind. It was billions of dollars.
I'm sorry.
Billions.
I feel like Dr. Evil. $1 million.
Yeah. Not until I get $1 million.
Well, it's because $100 is a lot to me. So when somebody says million, billion, I'm like, that's just a lot more than I have. So I just don't even know.
Yes, Biden is on camera, on video, bragging to a group of people about how he threatened, as vice president, he was still vice president then, he threatened Ukraine, fire the prosecutor that was looking into Burisma, where his son was getting paid $50,000 a month. Fire the prosecutor looking into the company my son's at, or else
you don't get $6 billion.
You won't get the $4 billion or whatever that U.S. was gonna give you in guaranteed loans. And the guy said, you can't do that. And he said, call Obama, check or whatever. And he's proudly telling a group of people this.
He was like, mic drop. And you're like, what the fuck? So even during that whole quid pro quo thing with Trump's people just turned that around on Biden. And then everyone was like, hi guys, change the story.
It's different. It's just different.
And then all of a sudden, the corporate media was like, today a cat got stuck up in a tree. And you're like, where are we talking about? I thought...
Okay, so we're going to move on. But yes, I think that's the side of it you're not really getting from most of the commentary on this FBI raid. In a few... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, apropos of Ukraine.
Oh, yes. Please, I'll throw the segue to you in a moment. In a few minutes after this next topic, we'll be going to only rumble.com/Lee Camp. Everything's free still there. It's free to watch. Rumble.com/Lee Camp. Just go there and you can keep watching the live stream there. But for the moment, we will stick with all the various streams, like we're the Ghostbusters, and segue away. Segue.
Okay, so apropos of Ukraine, the proxy war continues, which Leah's talked about. We've talked about that here, and Leah's talked about that, of course, on his own as well. And so the latest push by Zelensky is a really fascinating one. So this was by sheer post yesterday. Zelensky calls on West to ban Russian travelers and says, quote, whole population of Russia is responsible for the war. Wait, it gets better. His quote, and he basically said, some might think that this is absurd that I'm saying this, but he said, the population picked this government and they're not fighting it, not arguing with it, not shouting at it. Okay. So, I mean, first of all, there have been protests in Russia, but that's not even the fucking point. Even if there weren't, I'm just curious, does this apply to everyone? So, like, are as Americans, are every one of us responsible for Trump? Are every one of us responsible for Biden? Or the fact that every single president of the entire history of the United States has been, a horrible person, a fucking war criminal, a terrorist, particularly when it comes to against, indigenous peoples, black folks, people of color in general. Are we responsible for that? Should we be stopped from traveling, from having any access to, other rights because of our totally fucked up system? And if so, where do you draw the line?
And then, so if every American is responsible for Trump, does that mean like the fucking terrorist in Charlottesville that nearly killed us? I'm responsible for him too. Right. That's interesting. I'm responsible for the guy that nearly killed me. I think that sounds odd.
And so there's just, and of course this applies to his country too. Is he and his country, his fellow member, what do you say instead of countrymen these days? Country people? That doesn't sound fucking right. His fellow Ukrainians, I guess. Citizens? Whatever. I'm gonna, you know what?
The slang in Ukraine is Ukes. His fellow Ukes.
His fellow Ukes. Okay. So his fellow Ukrainians, are they responsible for the US-backed coup in 2014 that installed actual Nazis, which he's proudly sporting? I think he has like an Iron Cross on his shirt in this picture. Yeah, sure does.
Yeah, which is a Nazi emblem.
Yeah, total Nazi emblem. Like, look at any fucking World War II movie or, paraphernalia. Anyway, so is he responsible for that? In which case, should he just go ahead and walk off into the woods and never come back? I mean, I think we'd all be happier if he did. But, I mean, what the fuck? This is so absurd. And it really speaks to a complete lack of understanding, not just of how politics works, but also a complete lack of understanding with regards to like the larger situation vis-a-vis Russia and Ukraine and the US. And either he doesn't understand it, or he does understand it and is just really trying hard to to hammer home this beleaguered poor president, and you guys have to beat big bad Russia for me because I'm this poor guy that only gets weapons and directions from the largest empire that the world has ever seen, and I'm just this poor guy. Please, can't you stop Russians from going to Spain on holiday? Because that will fix everything.
And I'm refusing to go to the peace table because I just want to see how many Ukrainians can die through this. But really, he's just listening to the US and UK tell him that this is the way to do it. And he's funded by oligarchs. It's fucking insanity.
Yeah.
And but I love that every Russian is Oh, really? Even the anti-war protesters in Russia that are protesting against their own government to stop the war in Ukraine. Even I'd say mainly the babies, the Russian babies. I don't know if you've ever met a Russian baby, but they're like, we must kill the Ukrainians. That's how they talk. That's how the babies talk over there.
And again, it's trying to do what is an incredibly dangerous thing to do. It is combine people with their government. And I know that some folks are arguing in the chat, like, well, as Americans, we are responsible, et cetera, et cetera. And I think to a certain extent, we shouldn't shy away from recognizing that as what I like to say, children of the empire, which is really anybody who lives in the US and is a part of this system. We as children of the empire have a responsibility, and we also have an opportunity to overthrow the largest empire that the world has ever seen. But that does not mean that it is it is on our shoulders, these decisions that are made to, bomb children, to support genocide. It does not mean that that is on our shoulders. It means...
I just wanted to clarify. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, we have a responsibility to try and fight against, let's say, this empire, or in Russia, the anti-war protests, you could argue, have a responsibility to protest the war in Russia. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that every decision made by Russia is our decision, or every decision or their decision. Every decision made by the United States is our decision. That is a huge difference. I mean,
this really just gets back to nationalism. Are you synonymous with your nation? And I would say no, because none of us are synonymous with our nation in any way, in either the good or the bad. And, just like we can't, name something that you're proud of in the US. I don't know.
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies. You didn't fucking come up with it. So you can't take responsibility for that. Nationalism is the dumbest concept, because it's the idea that the triumphs of a nation are yours, even ones that happened far before you were born. But also it suggests that the damnation of a nation is also yours. And I disagree with both wholeheartedly. And so I think that a lot of this is tied up with the problem of nationalism, of nations and nation states in general. But I also think that it's important to continue to make the distinction between people and their governments. And there's a brilliant quote. I can never fucking get it right, but it's by an Iranian filmmaker whose name I forget because I'm terrible with names. I apologize. But she said that, the difference between you and I is small. The difference between our governments is small. The greatest difference is between me and my government and you and your government. In other words, people all over the world the similarities we have are great. And governments around the world, the similarities they have are also great. Russia and the US are similar in a lot of ways. Their governments and the people. The differences are between the people and the ruling class. And that is really what needs to be highlighted. So Zelensky's point is dangerous. It's fucking dumb, first of all, but it's dangerous as well, because to also make another point, that it can also turn into, what we as Jews combat quite a bit, which is trying to say that Israel speaks for all Jews. And as Israel calls itself...
knocking the segues out the park this week.
I'm doing a dance for people who can't hear this.
The segue dance. Hold on, I gotta feature it.
No, it's done. I'm sorry. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it.
Segue dance over?
But Israel calls itself a Jewish state, and therefore, Netanyahu famously said, "I speak for all Jews," which I think at the exact moment he said that, I think there were about like a gazillion Jews all over the world who just did a meerkat thing, like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't. No. What? So this and this is yet another example of conflating a people with the government. And I'm not saying that there are no Jews in Israel that agree with Israel, just like there are people in the US who agree with the bombing of children. But to make a whole cloth statement like that is super fucking dangerous, because it also tears apart those connections that we could have as people. So the connections that we could have with, for instance, anti-war Russian protesters. Well, we just can't have that because, all Russians are evil. All Russians are like Putin. what? What the fuck? That's so fucking dumb.
No.
So it also breaks down the ability to work together, to try and share tactics, to share cultures, to try and create bridges as our countries are bombing them. This completely breaks down that ability, and it's so fucking important to maintain that. So I think
Well
I
said.
ruined
And
my segue. I was on my way to a segue,
you did great.
and then I
thought it was brilliant. But yes, that's why I've tried to popularize the term toxic nationalism, because fuck nationalism, fuck borders that, you know, were decided 500 years ago, and now we're like, that guy was born over there, so I hope he dies of dysentery. Really? Okay, so you heard the segue. We're going to get into Israel and their latest attack on Palestine. But that will be at rumble.com/Lee Camp, rumble.com/Lee Camp. I hope you'll go there right now. It's free to watch, and the other feeds will end. By the way, real quick, we're both performing in London, England, and likely also Berlin, but the tickets are up for London right now. It's at leecamp.com. Click the schedule tab. We'll be doing a live taping of Government Secrets with Graham Elwood. Graham and I will be doing stand-up. Eleanor will be performing music, and George Galloway will be a special guest speaker. So hell of a show, London, and then we're probably adding a Berlin tour. Show. So hope you'll check that out if you're in those areas.
Damn it.
There's so much going on behind me right now. I didn't even. It's like there was cursing. There was.
Well, first of all, I wanted to
hair
apologize
tie issues
for the pit stains, but then my hair tie broke, and that's so sad because it's so hot in here. Okay.
Oh, there's so much going on right now.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, do you really want to miss what's going on right now? It's chaos. It's a fucking Lucille Ball sketch, and you're going to miss it if you don't go to rumble.com/Lee Camp. Also, become a member at leecamp.net if you've got $1 worth out of this content. But we're going to keep it going, so let's keep it going. Please. Oh, someone wants me to give the link to Rumble. All right, fine. If you want to be lazy, I'll do that. Sheesh.
Well, that's quite a link, Lee. I wouldn't know that link.
Well, no, but if they go to rumble.com/Lee Camp, they can just click the first video.
Oh, well, see, now you know that too, everyone.
Well, anyway,
nice.
There's the. I know I'm an asshole. There's the full link. All right. Hey, you should have heard me last night. I was screaming at people at Government Secrets to become members. But anyway.
Oh, well, that's fine. You can scream at them about that.
Oh, okay. Then fucking become a member of leecamp.net. What's wrong with you soulless assholes? No, I'm kidding. You're awesome. I love you all. All right. It is now, for the 5th time, going over to Rumble, and we're going to keep this, whatever this show has become.
Rolling.